Hey guys, welcome back to World of Tanks. My name is Bruce and today I want to feature a tank which is easy to play but difficult to master. So I will give you tips and tricks to help you master this tank. If you're interested in more reviews and gameplay, go to YouTube and search for World of Tanks with Bruce to get all of my videos, or click on the subscribe button. And now let's go. Before we start with the video, I made some major sound changes, so please give me a feedback in the comment section whether you like those changes or not. Besides this, after having purchased a new monitor with 27 inches, from now on I play the game in 4K, meaning the recording will be slightly different, but I hope you will adjust to it very quickly. Okay, so today we want to take a look at the M47 Iron Arnie, the American Tier 8 Premium Medium tank. This tank is balanced very interestingly. For good players, this tank is ultra strong, however, average players struggle with its flaws and weaknesses. So in this video, I want to tell you everything you need to know in order to master this tank. In order to understand the M47 Iron Arnie, we have to take a look at the statistics. So what do we get with this tank? So first of all, I would say lackluster DPM 1772. We get a decent alpha damage of 320 and a superb penetration on the standard shells of 230. The gun handling is pretty bad actually, 0.42 base dispersion, and the aim time is 2.88 seconds. So in my opinion, horrible gun stats, but the dispersion values while moving the tank are actually not too bad. This tank has a lovely 105mm caliber. It has relatively nice mobility, 40 kph top speed, and approximately 17 power to weight ratio. Keep in mind you are carrying a pretty chunk or pretty heavy or decent armor with you, so this mobility alongside with your armor is actually pretty nice. And then superb gun depression 10 degrees, so this tank is certainly a ridgeline warrior. You have 330mm of turret armor and 101mm on your upper hull. Now the HP pool is I would say below average with only 1300, but then you get a lovely 390 meters of view range. So lackluster DPM, certainly lackluster gun handling, good alpha damage, good penetration, good mobility, superb armor, and superb view range. Now let me show you what you get with you, or if you load your premium ammunition. You get 300mm of heat penetration. Keep in mind, heat does not lose penetration over the distance, so 300mm is an insane value. And this heat shell does actually have a pretty nice shell velocity, which we did not talk about. The shell velocity is good on your standard shells as well as on your heat shell. And so that's what you get with the Iron Arnie. Now, in order to understand the M47 Iron Arnie, we have to take a look at the armor profile. Now, as I said, 330mm of hull armor. This turret armor, this frontal turret armor, is insanely strong. Look at this, above 300mm. So at the sides it's only 155, but it is a ricochet angle, so you will not get penetrated. Keep that in mind. And besides that, it is above 300mm up to 500, above 500mm. So this is insane. The gun mantlet even has about 600mm of penetration, of armor. So even the Jagdpanzer E100 with its premium ammunition will not be able to penetrate at least parts of your armor. Besides this, you get a huge cupola, which can be penetrated even by tier 6 tanks. Now, we talked about the 101mm of the frontal armor, which is actually super strong, but you get this additional armor here. So not only is your upper hull above 250mm of armor, even your lower hull is above 200mm. So this tank is insanely strong. However, there are some weak spots. So you can penetrate this tank in this part here below this additional armor on the left and on the right hand side, then this small portion right here, and then there's a huge gap between the turret and the upper hull. So this is also a possibility of penetrating this tank. Besides that, it has a good a good side scraping capability if you do not over angle your tank, as you can see. And then what you should do in this tank is you should use your 10 degrees of gun depression, because with your 10 degrees of gun depression you are basically achieving two things. First of all, you are reducing the size of your cupola to a minimum, and then you're also reducing the size or the gap, let's say, between your upper hull and your turret armor. And if you keep moving around with your tank, you are giving your opponents a very hard time of basically hitting and penetrating your weak spots. So the biggest strength of the Iron Arnie is its insane hull down capability. So we will be fighting against the Tiger II heavy tank in a bit, and so let's first of all compare the armor profile of those two tanks. So the Tiger II has 245 millimeters of frontal turret armor, whereas the Iron Arnie has 330. If you take a look at the firepower, you can see that with premium ammunition, the Tiger II has a relatively good 258 millimeters of penetration, whereas the Iron Arnie has 300 millimeter of heat penetration. So what does that mean? So if you take a look at the armor profile of the Tiger II against the Iron Arnie, then you can see that the frontal armor is pretty good, 250 millimeters of effective armor, and then the rest is a ricochet angle, and the cupola is actually pretty small. But if the Iron Arnie loads its premium ammunition, you can see that it has no problem whatsoever of penetrating the Tiger II's frontal armor. And so this is what I am doing here. I'm simply loading heat and then shredding the Tiger II, and he has no chance whatsoever. So if you take a look at the profile of the Iron Arnie against the Tiger II shooting premium ammunition, you can see that he doesn't have a single chance. Yes, there are some weak spots just below the turret, but besides this, the turret armor is insanely strong, 300 to about 500 millimeters. So the Tiger II can do nothing against the Iron Arnie if you're playing hull down, if you're hiding your cupola. And yeah, this is insanely strong. And so with the Iron Arnie, you can simply shred your opponents if you are playing hull down. Even tier 10 opponents will have a tough time playing against you in your M47 Iron Arnie. The biggest mistake you can do in the Iron Arnie is to not use your gun depression and to engage your opponents from below. So let's take a look at the armor profile, and as you can see, you have a huge cupola which is easy to pen even for low tier tanks, plus you have a weak spot between your turret and your upper hull. And so in order to hide those weak spots, you have to engage your tanks from above, or use your, use your 10 degrees of gun depression, because if you don't do this, then it's super easy for your opponents to penetrate your cupola, and it's also super easy to basically hit your cupola. As you can see, even the IS-2 is able to make a shot right into my cupola, as you can see here. So a very easy target if you kind of miss those points. Now, if you have to engage your opponents from the low ground, what you can do in order to minimize the risk of getting shots into your cupola is you can angle your tank sidewards and then basically move forward and back, forth and back, so to basically give your opponent tank a hard time of hitting your cupola. So this is what you should do in order to minimize the risk of getting damage if you have to engage your targets from the low ground. All in all, with the superior armor of the Iron Arnie, you can really play aggressively and even fight against multiple tanks. So take a look at this situation. Now we are taking a shot onto the British light tank, and now the BZ 176 is rushing us alongside with the British medium tank. So I am trying to take out the British light tank first, and then I'm face hugging the BZ 176. Keep in mind, my tank is higher, so he is shooting from below. So I'm basically engaging his tank from above, i.e. my armor really works in this situation, and I can simply shoot at his cupola, and then I simply want to basically wiggle around a bit in order to hide my cupola. And now with my superior armor I can even afford to turn around and engage the Löwe and maybe take him out. I will receive another shot, but now I can take out the Löwe, and now I can turn back around, bring my frontal armor towards the BZ-176. Of course, I get some support of my team in this situation, but we have 2 kills. Unfortunately, this shot misses. But we managed to stay alive against 3 tanks pushing us out. And now, yeah, here you go. The 3rd tank has been taken out, and we were able to survive against 3 tanks thanks to our superior armor. Okay, so how do I play the Iron Army? Well, first of all, I play this tank with improved aiming in order to boost my bad dispersion, so I at least get 0.39 dispersion in this tank. I play the tank with the gun rammer in order to boost my very poor damage per minute, so I get at least 2000, which is still only average. And then I play this tank with coated optics in order to boost my view range, and so I get 462 meters of view range, which is nice on a medium tank. Now my crew has or is working on the 4th skill, so it has brothers in arms on all crew members. Then the gun handling skills, my commander does have situational awareness and recon, and now my crew is working on, or the commander is working on repairs. I trained repairs on all the other crew members, and then the loader already has intuition, which I highly recommend because you want to be able to switch quickly between the normal shell and the premium shell. And then it is currently, or he is currently working on safe stowage. One thing I want to highlight is on the Iron Arnie, the commander is the radio operator. This is why I trained situational awareness and recon both on the commander. Now, this means that this tank is not compatible, at least not 100% to the American medium tanks. So if we take a look at the M48 pattern, we see that the loader is actually also the radio operator. And so, yeah, that is, let's say, a problem if you want to train your American medium tank crews, but that's just how it is. And let's now jump into the first game. Alright, first game in the Iron Arnie. We are spawning on Berlin in a top tier scenario. And so let's take a look at the map and see what options we have. Spawning on Berlin in the east with the medium tank, I usually like to go to the middle, at least if I am playing a medium tank with a good spotting capability. If you have a hull down tank, you can also play here in the south. But depending on the situation, you also want to support your heavy tanks right here in the north, because I think this is to a certain degree the strategic position. And if you manage to win the north, then chances are that you can achieve to win the game. So if you find yourself in a top tier scenario with the Iron Arnie, your armor is godlike, and you can, and in my opinion you should, play extremely aggressively. And in this situation I want to play alongside with my heavy tanks on the heavy lane, because my armor is simply superior against the other heavy tanks. Maybe not so much against the tier 8 heavy tanks, but certainly against the tier 7 and especially the tier 6 heavy tanks. And so I want to support my team on the heavy flank and manage to win the heavy flank, especially on a map like Berlin, where I think the heavy flank is super important. So you simply want to go to the strategic position and help your team to win this position. So let's see if we can get a shot onto the middle. Yep, here maybe now. With the Iron Arnie and with the bad dispersion, you always want to fully aim in, especially if you have to take a let's say a long range or mid range shot towards your opponents, because the gun is simply so inaccurate that you have to make sure to take the best out of it. So let's see. Okay, I think we cannot get a shot onto the enemy medium tank right here. So let's proceed to the city. Now on this map, it is absolutely fine to not arrive here at the very first minute of the game, because yeah, you simply do not want to rush into the enemy tanks right at the beginning. Here you go. But as I said, in this tank I simply want to play aggressively. Now I angle my tank, unfortunately. Well, actually I bounced the shot, and so yeah, let's simply face hug this poor tank. If you take a look at the minimap, you see, yeah, there's the KV2 at the left hand side, but I fall back so that the KV2 has no chance of getting a shot onto my side, and meanwhile I can simply annihilate and take out the poor tier 7 Polish heavy tank, because he has no chance whatsoever. Yes, I have some weak spots, my cupola, as well as the space between the upper hull and the turret, as I described. But besides this, I can simply annihilate this opponent tank. And if I keep moving, like waggling around, going forth and back, I can give my opponents a hard time of hitting me. So the KV2 is falling back, and this gives us the chance of continuing our extremely aggressive gameplay. And okay, I don't know how the AMX 65T managed to go down there, but we can take a shot onto the American tier 7 tank destroyer, and he's not even turning around. So let's see if we can get a track shot. Here you go, nice, and he is taken out, and we also get some sweet assisting damage. So yeah, as I said, in such a scenario we just want to press the W key and just move forward and play as aggressively as we can. The game is still relatively close, because the opponent team has managed to win the southern medium flank, which is kind of understandable because we did not support this flank. So this means that we have to play aggressively in order to kind of equalize this situation on the battlefield. So let's see, bam, a shot into the rear of the KV2, and maybe we can take this tank out. Let's see, okay, can we get a shot onto the... No, we cannot, but here you go, bam. Okay, we even light him up, and now he's taken out of the game. Okay, perfect. So in this situation I want to first of all see whether I can get a shot onto the Polish medium tank. Nice. So the gun is inaccurate, but if you give it a bit of aim time, then here and there you can even hit shots at a let's say greater distance. And so once again, now we want to continue to play aggressively. Let's you know what, I think I will go to the middle. I think I will support my team and go to the middle. Keep in mind at what I told you about engaging opponent tanks from the low ground. However, in this tank obviously I can also spot for my team, and I think in this ditch here I'm kind of safe against the enemy tanks. Okay, this Progetto, obviously he has a sniper gun compared to my gun, so I need to watch out for this one. But I want to take out the T52. I have to fall back a bit, fully aim in my this is the inaccuracy of the Iron Arnie, but your armor can compensate for this. So I have the inaccurate gun against the Progetto 46, but I have the superior armor, and so if I bounce his shots, oh, and of course also the shots of the low tier tank, then missing one or another shot is actually not a problem, because the enemy tanks will miss their shots as well, at least for the most part. So keep in mind that you have to angle your tank and move left, right in order to give your opponent tanks a hard time of hitting your cupola. And if you do this, then as you can see, you will bounce one or another shot. So let me see if I can move out here and only show my turret armor. Here you go, let me see, here you go. Thanks a lot for this mistake. 329 damage. Obviously the game is close, but I want to close the distance to those enemy tanks, because the closer the distance is, the better I can use my inaccurate gun in order to make damage to those tanks. So Yeah, he's falling back, so I want to further advance. Here you go. Nice lucky shot here, because I didn't fully aim in. And now I can once again try to play hull down, because as I said, you either if you're playing from the low ground, you can at least use your 10 degrees of gun depression, and if you are doing so, then you are reducing the frontal size of your cupola, which is easy to penetrate even for low tier tanks. So 4,900 damage so far, and maybe we can take out the WoT 46. Let's see. And yeah, I think with playing ultra aggressively, we can manage to win this game, despite the fact that we lost the southern flank, which is once again understandable because we pushed over the northern flank. Nice clip for the Skoda T25. And now, here you go. Bam. Take out the WoT 46. He can only track us. And let's see if we can get another shot onto the enemy tanks. So once again, in this tank, you can play aggressively in general, and you should play aggressively. In a top tier situation, you can and you should play ultra aggressively, because your armor gives you this opportunity, and you can put so much pressure onto the enemy team, and yeah, with this actually boost your win rate in this tank. So the Jiso is the last tank on the battlefield. Let's see, he might have fallen back, so let's see if we can get another shot. But I think 5.2k damage is a decent result in the Iron Army. And okay, we're not spotted here, so chances are that he has fallen back. Obviously the Scorpion G is already pushing forward, and so okay, looks like the Jiso actually looks like he's not the worst player. The problem is I am one-shottable for this tank, so I want to play super cautiously right now, because I do not want to throw away my tank. I've seen so many situations in which I threw away my tank and then my teammates were unable to basically win the game at the end of the game. So let's see how it goes. Here you go. Okay, so let's fall back. He has 2 shots, 3 shots, so he has only 1 in his clip. And here you go, 1 shot. And now he is running away, and this gives us the chance of closing in. Because once again, we need to close the distance in order to increase the chance of hitting him with our inaccurate gun. And besides this, we want to use his reload, which is about, I think, 30 or 40 seconds for his whole clip, in order to close the distance, because once he has reloaded his clip, the chance is gone basically, and we will have a hard time of closing in. So let's see, maybe we can use all the things which are okay, I'm pinging the map. Yep. Okay, 1 shot. So I think he only has 3 in his magazine. Now keep in mind what I said, we have to engage the target from above. Here you go. But besides this, we also have to play hull down in order to decrease the frontal size of our cupola, which he can penetrate, and so that's what we want to do. This is why I'm playing very cautiously here, and why I'm waiting for the IKV-90B in order to close in and to help me out in order to get a shot onto this thing. Now, I think he has shot twice, so he only has 2 shots in his magazine. So I can, nice, and hopefully bound. Yes, he bounces his shot, and now he's taken out. So, perfect. About 6k damage in the Iron Arnie. And I think this game clearly showed why this tank is so strong and how strong it is in a top tier scenario. Alright, second game in the Iron Arnie. We are now in a mid-tier situation, and let's first of all take a look at the map and see what options we have. Spawning on Fisherman's Bay in the south, this is usually how the situation develops, and with the medium tank I like to go to the middle in order to not only spot heavy tanks which are basically crossing like this towards the heavy flank, but then also to get maybe shots onto those tanks which are playing here, maybe on tanks which are playing right here. And I think playing in the middle, I have most options further on in the game, because not only can I fall back and basically try to support my left hand flank, But then I can also try to go down to the heavy lane and support my heavy tanks. So in this situation, we are, as I said, in a mid-tier scenario. Now, the problem with the Iron Arnie is that it has a very bad camo rating. So first I thought that I want to play a bit more passively and go to the left-hand side and yeah, play defensively at the beginning of the game. But then I thought, well, yes, there are 2 artilleries in the game. However, the top tier tanks are actually a Stritzwagen K, so a heavy tank, then the WT on Panzer IV, a German TD, and that's about it. So yes, there are the oooBRUCEooo in the enemy teams, in the enemy team, but there's no light tank, and so this was the reason why I finally went into the middle and tried to play here. Now, once again, my spotting capability is inferior to all the other medium tanks in the game, at least on tier 8. And so I want to play defensively and cautiously right here and basically hide my tank behind this building. I think this will work out. And if I can move back, or if there's another tank, I can fall back basically and then try to play hull down as best as I can. And I mean, my upper hull is also super strong, so I'm actually not too much afraid of the enemy tanks. Now, what I cannot do in this situation, simply, I just talked about this. I have an inferior spotting capability, so I cannot simply move out of cover and try to spot the adversary medium tank, let's say the oooBRUCEooo, which is most likely behind the bush at the house or next to the houses on the other side. So I want to simply wait here, play cautiously, and maybe here go. He is spotted, nice, and so I can move out of cover, get a shot, and then the Jagdtiger is doing a great job and taking out this tank. So perfect start at the beginning of the game. And due to my inferior spotting capability, I simply want to play, let's say, defensively and simply wait and see what is going on. So the oooBRUCEooo has been spotted in the middle, however on the left hand side, which is great. But there's another oooBRUCEooo and he might be playing in the middle, so let's see how it goes. Okay, if he falls back, then we can get another shot. Our artillery is focusing this tank, which is good. Okay, the other artillery, or the adversary artillery, is situated at the A7 position approximately. Once again, I want to play defensively. Okay, there's the Stritzwagen K, so can we get a shot onto him? No, I have to move to the left hand side of the building. I think I will try and see whether I get spotted. And now take a shot onto this tank. I don't get spotted from the middle, so looks like the oooBRUCEooo is not on the other side, which is good. And now if this tank falls back, nice. Okay, maybe a bit. Let's see. Okay, please do me a favor and fall back, Mr. Here you go. Here you go, nice, and bam. Yeah, it's a nice thing to have a Jagdtiger playing with you and just being able of reducing the HP pool of the adversary tanks. So I think the time has come in order to play more aggressively. So let's now simply take out this tank. Here we go, bam, it's taken out of the game. I can hide behind this building so to not get shots from the tank destroyers situated at the B2 and A3 or B1 position. And now I think it is time to fall down to the heavy flank and simply support our heavy tanks. If we have won the heavy flank, which we will in a bit, if we support our heavy tanks, then we can try to push into the enemy base via the A lane, and that is the game plan. So let's see how it goes. Our team is pushing, yeah, from one side, so we want to get shots from the other side and basically surprise the enemy tanks. Now he is turning his turret towards me, so I want to waggle around and put my tank, let's say, in a 10 to 15 or 20 degrees angle towards him in order to further increase the strength of my frontal armor, and once again I also want to always keep moving a bit left and a bit right in order to giving the adversary tank a hard time of hitting my weak spots. This tank does have weak spots, as I told you, but they are weaker, they're smaller, I would say, compared to the Super Pershing, and this tank overall has the much superior armor, if you want to compare this tank with the T26E4. Okay, so 7-2, however, the problem is, due to our bad camo value and also due to our bad speed, I cannot simply rush into the enemy base. Now, take a look at what I am doing now. I am spotted, so I want to waggle around and put my frontal armor towards where I would expect enemy tanks, and towards the position from where I would expect enemy shots. So here you go. I want to give my gun the time to aim in, and with doing so, we are able to penetrate our shots. Nice. So here you go, another shot. Nice, and we can even get all the sweet assisting damage. Now, in World of Tanks, especially with medium tanks, I like to get a good view range on my tanks, simply to have to get the additional damage, the assisting damage in such situations. Because more often than not, you will find yourself in a situation where you can spot for your team, and if you have the capability to do so, then you will get all the sweet assisting damage and further boost your statistics. Here you go. I will try to make a snapshot, and it actually works, because I do not want to be exposed right here in the open for a longer period of time. So nice. With the superior armor profile, you can make those aggressive pushes, because you will bounce one or another shot, and that is simply superb in this tank. So I think I'm pushing in over aggressively. Nice. And I want to face hug this tank, but looks like this player is actually a good player, and he's able of, yep, here you go. Okay, I bounced this shot, which is very unfortunate. I want to push him into the sea, into the lake, so that okay, and he takes me out, so that he gets drowned, but I'm not really making it. By the way, those little micro lags are simply because I play this game now with the new monitor in 4K, which is extremely nice. I like it. However, I had some problems with recording the game, so please bear with me. I hope this does not disturb the your let's say your watching experience. So yeah, overall I think a pretty nice game, about 5.5k damage combined, and I think this game showed the flaws and the weaknesses of this tank that you can basically live or work around with if you know what you are doing. All right, so let's now jump into the last game. Alright, last game in the Iron Arnie. We are now spawning in a tier 8 matchup, and let's first of all take a look at the map and see what options we have. Spawning on steps in the north with the medium tank like the Iron Arnie, I certainly want to play on this flank due to the insane hull down capability of this tank. So I want to push here aggressively, but only if my team supports me, and if not, I can go to this position and then play hull down here and basically work against the adversary push. Alright, so for sure I'm playing on the left hand side, or basically on the medium flank on this map, because I can perfectly use my hull down capability. And you know, we talked about the strength of this tank, the insane armor profile, the insane hull down capability. We also talked about the flaws and the drawbacks, so the mediocre speed, the inaccurate gun. But I want to point out one more thing, and that is the good armor profile has one distinct advantage, and that is you can preserve your hit points until the end of the game with playing hull down, with using the strength of your tank, and this gives you more often than not the possibility of consciously trading your remaining HP at the end of the game and make extremely aggressive moves with which you can not only get further damage but also get further assisting damage, because you are basically then spotting for your team and playing ultra aggressively. Okay, but for the time we simply want to play in this position because we can play hull down. We want to get as many shots as we can get onto the enemy tanks. Now in this situation I wish that I had a better DPM, but that's another drawback of this tank. That's just how it is. But we simply want to fully aim in our shots in order to make every possible shot that we can make. Now the enemy forces are pushing aggressively, but I am sitting in a hull down situation, and so I have no problem whatsoever in basically holding the adversary push and then in shredding all the opponents. Look at this poor tank. He is moving forward, but he has no chance whatsoever. He's not even taken a shot onto my tank because he knows that he has no chance, let's say almost no chance of penetrating my armor. And so yeah, this is what I like about the Iron Arnie. You can play so aggressively, and you can, like, the enemy tanks will not be able to simply rush you because they cannot count on making their shots due to your superior armor. I think I've stressed this in this video quite enough, but I really must say that I like this possibility of aggressive gameplay and of simply holding a flank in this tank. Okay, so let's see. So if those tanks move out further, then we can take them out, and we simply want to play aggressively. Here go. Yeah, this is the, once again, the bad side of the gun, the very inaccurate gun, if you will. But nice, here go. Yeah, and I think we can now simply, okay, let's see, can we get, okay, I wanted to take a shot onto the cupola. Okay, so the T-34-3 is moving in, so you know what, let's use the rack in order to not get a shot. And now, here you go. So he's now turning his gun towards the other tank, and so we can simply get another shot, and maybe we can simply, maybe, here you go, take him out. And so yeah, 2,400 damage at the beginning of the game, and we haven't even lost a single HP in this engagement. If you're playing smart in the Iron Arnie, if you use your armor as let's say to its strength, and if you conduct smart gameplay, i.e. if you use the rack of another tank in order to hide your weak spots, if you use your 10 degrees of gun depression in order to hide your cupola, and if you keep moving your tank in order to give your opponents, your adversaries, a hard time of hitting your weak spots, then this tank is insanely strong. And due to the fact that the enemy tanks, then if you conduct this gameplay, will bounce one or another shot more often than not, you will effectively decrease the DPM of your adversary tanks. And so this means that in the end, your, let's say, lackluster DPM is actually not a problem, because the actual DPM of your opponents is bad as well, is even worse. So I think this is what you have to keep in mind, and this is actually what makes this tank so strong. So yeah, this is what I wanted to point out. Let's now see whether we can get more damage, and I think we can, because we want to simply move forward. And once again, here we go, use our 10 degrees of gun depression, give our gun the time to aim in, and now we can take out this tank destroyer, and he even bounces his shot. So you know what, okay, I think, there we go. And yeah, so all in all, I think the Iron Arnie is my new favorite premium tank in the game, and I really like this combination because it gives you the chance of playing aggressively. And one thing that I should also mention is this tank is an insanely good credit maker. So let's now take a look at the outcome of the first game, in which we made 6k damage. So this is the result of the first game. We made 351,000 credits. Of course, an ace tanker. Yes, it has been against tier 6 tanks, fine. But overall, this tank is a superb credit maker. As you can see, 321,000 credits. Yes, we made, we had some reserves, reserve bonus of 82,000, and yes, we had also 100,000 from an event going on. But in the end, in my opinion, the Iron Arnie is not only a strong tank, but also a superb credit maker. And one thing I should also mention is, yes, you can use the 2 key, but your standard penetration is actually good enough in most cases in order to penetrate your adversary tanks. And so all in all, this is a superb credit maker. Alright guys, that was it for today with the video about the M47 Iron Arnie. How do you like this tank? Do you like to play medium heavy hybrids in general? Just leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Consider subscribing to my channel, and I see you next time in another World of Tanks video.